people. So I'm glad to see that you're here to help us celebrate that time period. And hope, as we go through it, we remind ourselves of what our ancestors went through, Imagine a day like this, December 6th, 1865. It's cold out there. To be free and with nothing but clothes on your back. So these are some things that we got to see, the struggles that our ancestors went through, and we need to be grateful for how far we have come as a consequence of their struggles. And we want to thank the Creator as well, because without the Creator, we would be existent. So we have gone through a lot of things. We have struggled a great deal, and we've come out. And I think the thing we have to realize is that we are new people as a consequence of our experiences here in the United States. Because all of us came from different tribes. In fact, I got my African ancestry done, and I got a mixture of about 4 or 5 tribes in me. So now we are called African Americans. So this is a tribe that we are a part of. We are the African American tribe now. So we have to begin to think as a people. And we're going to open up with prayer. I just wanted to welcome you for coming, and we're going to open up with prayer. Thank you.
We're going to do our prayer. This is a prayer I'm going to do in Arabic. This is a prayer that's equivalent to what you might say the Lord's Prayer, the 23rd Psalm in the Christian way of thinking. Okay, we're going to say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim, siratal ladhina an'amta 'alayhim, ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Amen. In God's name, the beautiful, most merciful Master of the judgment, you we worship and thy aid we seek. Show us the straight way. For we are those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors. Not that we are those who have caused thy anger, and not that we are those who go astray. Amen.
So we said we're going to have we plan to have a panel, and these are our distinguished panelists here. We have someone representing education and culture, business, and government. And I'm going to give you these people's these credentials that they have here. Call us names. I refer to staff. One moment, please. But we have some people who come here and wanted to share with us in this celebration, okay? And so we thank them for coming to Warren. All right, we have Mr. Omar Muhammad here. He acquired a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Payne College. His expertise and experience include, but are not limited to, operations management, organizational leadership, business development, turnaround management, strategic planning and forecasting, grant development, development of education, budget management, risk management, recruiting and or staff development, tutorial program development, training, and fundraising. He is certified in the following areas: building rural communities through CHDO's training, Office for Human Research Protection, OHRP Quality Assurance Training, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Training, and IRS Training on Budgeting and File Nonprofit Taxes. He is the board chair of Clara Science Academy. He also was recruited by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development officials to manage UMI and Associates nonprofit as a community development manager. Omar also served as credit analyst at GE Capital and also as financial analyst at E-Trade Financial. So he will speak to us today about education, and we have his wife, Miss Varsity Muhammad. Miss Varsity Muhammad on the again down there, she is also an educator. Varsity Muhammad currently serves as a director of Clara Science Academy, grades K through 8 STEM private non-religious school. Her educational background includes 4 years of study towards a PhD in leadership and policy in higher education at Morgan State University, a Master of Arts in Human Development and Family Science, Syracuse University, a Master of Education Counseling from South Carolina State University, and a Bachelor of Arts in English from Payne College. Several certifications of education from North Carolina Department of Education and New York Teaching License Certification, K through 12 Counseling. Pennsylvania Child Development and Early Learning, Director Credential and a Level D Certification in Early Childhood Education, Level 3 Child Care Administrator's License with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Child Development Associate National Credentialing Program, Certified Grant Specialist and Consultant. And additional leadership experience includes over 25 years of service in the field of education, servicing birth through higher education. She has continuously engaged in community services through numerous organizations, providing mentoring and tutorial services, the Syracuse City School District Mentoring Program, New York Brownie Consultant, Girl Scout Incorporated Mecklenburg 5 District, Charlotte, North Carolina, currently the International League of Muslim Women Incorporated, International Vice President and President of the Philadelphia Chapter, Alpha Kappa, Alpha Sorority Inc., and the Black Women's Educational Alliance Philadelphia Chapter. So we have some people with some great credentials here speaking to us on education. And now we have Michael, whom we know, and he didn't give me his credentials, but everybody knows Mr. Michael Covington, the owner of Morgan Community Convenience Store. And he's been very helpful with me and my nonprofit organization, which is Khalifa Academy. He's helped us with the Becoming of Age program for girls by providing some sewing machines and things. So this is Michael Covington, a son of Morgan, North Carolina. And now we have Imam Abdul Malik Shabazz. He is from Florence, South Carolina. He is an imam, a religious leader. He leads at an Islamic Center in Florence. So he has come to talk with us about business, and Michael is going to talk to us about culture. So he didn't give me a lot of credentials. He can tell me. These men seem to just say what you want to say, Janaki. So I'm going to say what I got to say. So Imam, he has been helpful. He is on the board of Khalifa Academy, and he came from Florence to help celebrate with us tonight. And now we have Alex, Mr. Alex Gaddy. He's a co-founder of HALA, and so all of you know him. He's a son of Anson County as well, and we know him to be involved with the Rites of Passage program and so many other things, because you can come here and find Alex at the HALA Center. So he is very much a very important person in regard to HALA and the nonprofit things that they're doing here in the community. And so, as I said, the only female, I've already given you her credentials, Ms. Varsity Muhammad, okay? So, so we can start with, the theme is, are we functioning as a free people? So they're going to talk on that and allow you all to ask questions later after they have given their spiel from the perspective of education, culture, business, and government. So those are 4 things that we see are very important in our developing community life, And I think, and to me, Morgan is an ideal city. It's a city where we're the majority, we are in the majority. We can take the responsibility for our development. And those 4 things, we call them the four birds in our community, but in education, culture, business, and government. If we focus on those 4 things, then we're saying that we can truly be a free people and begin to establish ourselves in the United States of America. So I guess we'll start with Mr. Omar Muhammad in education, since he's on this side of me. So we're going to start with him and let him talk to us about education and where we need to go to become established people and how we fairly get in the field of education.
Good evening. I know. But I'm just trying to get my thoughts together. One scholar said, what you travel for is what you get. And in education, it is said in one scripture, seek education from cradle to death. And even travel towards China to get educated. The question was asked, are we free? Yes, I think we are. I know we are. Because I'm sitting here on shoulders of individuals that I'm looking at that fought in the civil rights era, and when they won, and just like some of the panelists, when they won, part of the shackles were taken off of us. And some may say that time is still around. No, you're just looking at the remnants of a dead end. So when you sit down there, you see people that's representing MAGA or Trump, that right there, they just trying to keep their head up from the concrete and just try to holler, but no, that world is dead. So when we look at education, we have to anticipate where we're going and where we came from. Now, I'm not going to talk about where we came from because a lot of you already know. I'm going to tell you where we're going, what's happening now. So I'm going to set the tone for the panelists. When we start to mention people or ethnic groups as black, white, those are elementary words. And I would like to use the term African American, Caucasian, because those words, when you start to reference an ethnic group like that, then there's no origin. So going towards the education, where we're going, the Supreme Court, if you didn't notice it last year when they were passing the gun laws and abortion rights, they slipped up under there and they said every state must support a religious and private school. Every state must support a religious and private school. Everybody in here can open up a religious and private school with no problem. And some states are supporting these religious and private schools with vouchers and with other funds from the education budget. North Carolina is supporting the education fund through the Opportunity Scholarship. Each child gets roughly about $7,000 and up. If they are disabled, they get up to, or they have any challenges like an IEP, they get up to $17,000 per child. So, what are we doing? Are we acting on that? And here we see that we have another ethnic group that's about to push us down from being the second majority in America to being the third majority and maybe the fourth majority in America. You have your Latinos that's coming in, and they are flipping communities quickly, especially down here in the South. But you still have an edge as African Americans. You still have 99 HBCUs that are still standing. What are we doing? And you may say, hey, they already took away our affirmative action. And when I go into a room, I don't negotiate from weakness. I negotiate from strength. And I tell that group, listen, if it wasn't for an African American woman, you wouldn't have got out of space. So what are you saying? You can't be saying that we are behind, we are backwards. You can't say that we are achieving our goals. No, that's not the case. At Clare Science Academy, we have opened up a school, one of the first. We have a lot of locations that will be opening up in the future, but one of the first is in Greensboro, North Carolina. We have recruited 2 students that I want to talk about. One is in the 3rd grade and one is in the 2nd grade. And both of them are reading on a kindergarten level. Why? Because mom and dad is not reading to them. Because when they jump in the car, mom and dad is smoking. They're not just smoking cigarettes. Mom and dad has the TV on. Mom and dad has the music with profanity. Malcolm said this. He said the one who uses profanity has a limited vocabulary. Has a limited vocabulary. So why are we condoning it? Now, one of the scriptures says, let there rise out of you a small group that enjoys what is right and forbids what is wrong. If we are to progress, which we are doing right now, it's going to take that small group. We don't all need to come together. We don't all need to come together. That right there is a language that some people want to hear. Let us all come together with love. If you look at it closely and look at your body, the smallest part on you, one of the smallest parts on your body that's running your body, that's maintaining your body, is the head. So when we reference that small group, we're talking about the heads. We're talking about the heads, the smartest ones in the room, and we're talking about the ones who are passionate and the ones who are ready to do the work. I think the town has a lot of potential, and the town is about to grow. And I'm gonna go ahead and end it with this. In the Census Bureau, the United States Census Bureau predicts between 2040 and 2050, the majority of people living in America are going to be coming through California and all the way through the South. And what they're doing is they're going to send manufacturing companies down here in the South. It's happening now. Campbell Soup is located in, Camden, New Jersey? We have 2 or 3 factories here in North Carolina now. I had the pleasure of hearing 2 individuals that was in a Family Dollar, and one of them was saying, hey, I'm working at Campbell Soup. The other one was saying, I can't work there. I want to go out there and sell drugs. He said, the other one that works at Campbell Soup, he said, you crazy. He said, we're getting paid there, overtime. So what they're going to do is, they're going to send all the manufacturing companies down to the South. All those individuals that y'all probably left up north, they're coming down south. Some are coming down with their attitudes. They don't respect grass. They don't want to do the lawn. They don't want to say good morning, good evening, good night. They're coming. The towns are going to develop. The small towns are going to develop. People are going to be buying houses. If you own land, you're going to get paid. Now, what's going to happen is this. Once those manufacturing companies come down, and all those individuals from the north and some from the west come down, you're going to have about 20 years until those manufacturing companies leave and go back up north. But what's staying up north is the bio-manufacturing companies, the ones who need to understand the sciences. That's why Clare Science Academy was established, to focus on STEM, the science, the technology, the engineering, and the math. Because up north, what's going to stay is the bio-manufacturing companies. And once everybody leaves from up north and come down south to smell that fresh air, to get that clean water, to mess up that grass, they won't be able to afford to go back in. Right now in Philadelphia, they have row houses that was going for 5 to 7 years ago, $37,000 now. Some of these row houses are going for $400,000. They are moving fast. So, I'm gonna say this. Bring your A game to the table. If not, you're going to be replaced. It's happening now. This is a small town. This is a jewel. Appreciate it. Come down to develop, help develop it. And then what you're going to see is you're going to see, like I heard, an oasis, a gold mine, and you will reap the benefits in the future. But as far as education, yes, we need to go back in there and fix what has been broken, but we can't save everyone. We won't be able to save everyone. So if your child is not ready to come to compete, and your child is cursing left and right, and your child is watching TV at 2 in the morning, then your child is going to be working in one of those little manufacturing companies. While the best are still coming over here from India and Asia that's getting paid $200,000 a year just to do IT. Thank you.
Okay, are we free as a people? Of course we're free. Our ancestors have freed us. They've worked and toiled the land for us here in the United States of America, matter of fact, across the world. I was recently watching a video, and the video was about the development of Africa and how they transported our people from Africa all the way across that tri-area, from all the way from Africa all the way into the Caribbean, just spread us all over, which you already know. So they have done the work to free us. The thing is, are we free in education? Are we free thinkers? W.D. Muhammad says we are free thinkers. And I believe that we are free. We are free to think, but it's what are you going to do with the freedom, especially when it comes to education? What are we doing with it? We go to school, most of us, we get past the high school, if the majority of us get past the high school. But what we're seeing, what I have experienced working in early childhood all the way up to higher education, is that sometimes we as parents, we drop the ball. I have one parent who, his son was about to be suspended at a predominantly Caucasian school, and I worked as a counselor there at the time, and trying to save this young man's life. And I said, he had one chance, and the dean says he has to go. And I said, no, just give me one more day to speak, to reach the parent. And I brought the parent in, and the parent literally walked out and said, it's not my job to educate my son. It is your job. And I said, really? I said, but the education does not start here in school. The education begins with your child the minute that child comes out of that mother's womb. As a matter of fact, the minute conception begins, education starts. So it is not just my job or the dean or the teacher's job. The teachers have a child for 8 hours a day. That's it. It is your job as parents to continue that education at home. Otherwise, that freedom that we have is going to be taken away, not by anyone else, but by your own doing. Because you have to begin to educate your child with simply morals and values, simply reading to that child. Turn the television off. Going back to that parent also, I asked that parent, I said, so what is your job? If we're here, if it's not your job, then what is your job? And the parent turned to me and he says, my job is to pay the bills, to keep the light on, to put food on the table. Yes, that is your job. That is all of our jobs as parents, to pay the bill, put food on the table, make sure that son or daughter gets the best protection ever. But part of that is the education. That's educating them about that responsibility. But they're only gonna know that if you take the time, and taking the time start with just simply reading. The two children that he mentioned earlier, Mr. Mohammed mentioned earlier, are not able to read on the level that they should be. A lot of our children are way behind. And they're behind because we're too busy. We're too busy allowing the television to raise our children. We're too busy worrying about the dollar. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with worrying about the dollar. It's what are we doing about the dollar that we're chasing? Where are we chasing that dollar? We cannot, the people who are the movie stars, the actors, the singers, they already got their share. The masses of them are educated, and if they didn't get their education, they're going back. You may not know that they've gone back to get their education, but they're going back. And some of them are reinvesting that money so that our children can go to school. But what we don't want to do, we don't want to drop that ball when they're so young. It is very, very crucial that you don't wait for your child's teacher to say, read to your child at night. It is crucial that you don't wait to get a phone call that your child is going to be suspended or your child is acting up in school. I used to always say to my children, I said, don't act up when I'm not there. Act up with me. But when you're outside, you should be on your best behavior. You should be following the rules. I should not get a call from a teacher saying you're not doing your homework, or that you didn't do your homework, or that you're not doing your work in school. Don't wait for your child's teacher to call you. Go knock on their door. Make an appointment. We have the phones. We no longer have to call. You can actually email your parents. Everyone has an iPhone, some kind of latest gadget. They probably have, the children sometimes have better phones than the parents. Stop doing that. A child doesn't need to have the latest gadgets. All they need is for simply emergency. But the point that I'm trying to say to you is, and I'm probably preaching to the wrong group, because I know you guys are doing your job, but take time to educate somebody else. Take time. If you see, there used to be, they have the same, the village raised everybody. That's how I grew up. I remember being late for school, and before I know it, I was getting checked. I got checked by the school. As a matter of fact, I got a strapped when I was late for school. You got beat on the nickels, or you got timed out. But the point that I'm trying to say is that it took that village to raise me into who I am today. And you probably hear an accent in my voice. It's because I grew up in the Caribbean. And the Caribbean moms don't play. Single parents, both double parents in the household, they're very firm about education. And each neighbor help raise that child. Because I want to make sure that when you get your education, you're not just leaving, you're coming back to toil that soil in your community to make sure that that community survives and that community is successful. We have to take that initiative on our own. We cannot wait for somebody else to do it. So yes, Education is important. Yes, we are free thinkers, but the thing is, what are we going to do with it? How are we going to progress? Don't wait for anyone to educate your child. Take the initiative, get involved in the community, get involved in your schools, get involved in politics, go get on the school boards. Most of the time when I go to community events, especially when there's a disaster, as a matter of fact, this young lady said this to me and I was kind of shocked. I said to her, I said, no, that's not happening. We always have representation everywhere there's a community event. That's not true. We take a back seat. We wait for somebody else to do it. What I'm charging you with is not to wait for someone else to take the lead in your community or in your school boards or in your child's classroom. Because you shouldn't wait for your teacher to raise your child. If you don't have the resources, there's plenty of help out there. You just have to say you need help. People just want to see that you taking that step. You take one step, we're going to take the 2 steps behind you because we want you to be successful. Anyone that's in education, they've made a commitment to be there to teach your children, to teach us. So don't wait. Don't wait for them to do it. Take the initiative. The other thing that he mentioned is, one of the things that he mentioned that I want to highlight is the flipping of the communities and the demographic changes. That is happening. Sometimes it happens so fast, by the time you blink, the community has changed, and you wonder what happened. Then we get upset. Don't get upset. You cannot get upset when the community has flipped because you have fell asleep. We've fallen asleep while our community changes. So you have to get proactive in what you're doing. You have to get involved. Go to these meetings. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to get on committees. And I think sometimes we wait for our elders to step up. Our elders are tired. They've done their job. It's now up to us, the little people that are coming up. We as parents and our children, we have to stir the pot and get our children involved. So that's what I will leave with you is, yes, we are free thinkers, but we have to stir the pot and put the seed, plant that seed in the right soil so that it can grow. And the only way you're going to do it is you have to get involved and you have to be proactive in the children's lives. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to pay homage and thanks for being on this panel, this esteemed panel, to celebrate Jubilee Day, something that's dear to my heart. My freedom is dear to my heart. I was asked to elaborate on the political involvement, political process. I have very little experience on the federal level. I'm not so much concerned on the federal level of politics as the local level, something that I can have my hand in. It's very important to me to be able to control my own destiny, my own community. So there have been some comments and some very good points made tonight, considering our community being flipped, what our community has to offer, having valuable resources in our community that somehow we're not yet taking full advantage of. That being said, participating in the political process is a must. And in my opinion, the representatives that we choose to represent our issues and our views, we have to vet these individuals thoroughly before they get our vote. And what I mean by that is they must line up with the issues and the things that we want done, and we want representation and we want them to go around the table and fight for it. We have to stop just voting because of a person's skin color. We have to start voting. If we voted for the skin color, we must vet that. We must sit around the table and form something similar to this, and have a compiled list of issues that we want our representatives to address. Some of those issues that's dear to my heart is substandard housing, compiling a committee, task force to seek industry, what industries are coming, how do we need to prepare our children. Right now, we're in a situation where industry is reluctant to come because our children, as these educators have so eloquently stated, we are not ready for the technology when they do come or if they come. So we have to make sure our kids, our children, I want to say kids because that's a goal, our children need better. So the question on the table tonight is, are we functioning as a free people? That's a catch-22. Some of us are functioning as a free people. The others, a great number of us, still have chains of slavery mentality. We have a slave mentality because we can't help but have it because of the way we were conditioned. It was deliberate. It was deliberately done through slavery, and I equate everything back to slavery because you have to. You have to because it was a deliberate thing. And now we're still suffering from the effects. So we're free physically. We can go in a store, we can go in a hotel, we can go in a restaurant. But are we truly free mentally? That's what I address here in this building, in this organization every day. I'm fortunate to be a part of a freestanding organization that we do what we want, we invest in the community without having to lean on the federal government or any other county government to dictate how we want our community to live. So that's very important to me also. So politics, they asked me to say a few words on politics. I am not a politician, but I know that we must participate. I know we must participate, and I would love to participate more locally, and I would love to have more confidence in those that represent me. So that being said, there were some other things mentioned about education. I don't know how many, some of you are new to the area. This is your first time in the Holler Center. Holler is an acronym for helping our loved ones learn and achieve. And what we do here day in and day out, we provide resources for people, for children, for parents, to have a place for them to come and to get the attention that they need, to learn about entrepreneurship, to learn about their ancestors, to learn their history. They're not going to do it in the schools. Attached to this building, we have the notebook store, where you can go in the notebook store and you can grab a book like Carter G. Woodson, the Miseducation of the Negro. I know we need education. Unfortunately, we've been miseducated in a lot of ways, and I'm not going to go into that book, but I advise you to educate people to get that book. And I could just go on and on, but thanks for allowing me, and welcome again to the Holler Center. I encourage and I implore each and every one of you to learn about us, to learn about what we're doing. Bring your young people, especially you, the local people and the people from abroad. We're here, we're teaching, we're learning, we're doing, we're owning. So that being said, I want to yield to the next speaker and thank everyone for coming. Happy Jubilee Day.
Good evening. Good to see you. Good to see you all here today, tonight. I was asked, I'm tasked with economics, and I'll be functioning. The question to the board is, are we functioning as a free people? In, say, the year Emancipation Proclamation, 1865, our government were issuing out millions of acres of land to their counterparts, the white counterparts, or Caucasian counterparts. And they were giving these people this land to ensure that they would have an economic base here in this wilderness of America. At the time when they freed us from that horrible institution called slavery. And at the same time when they freed us, they were giving these people, they were giving the white people, the Caucasian people that were coming to this country, millions of acres of land in the West, the Midwest. And subsequently today, these people own all this land. They own Caucasian people. And they promised the free slave, they promised us 40 acres and a mule. That was the promise. And that would have been the right thing to do. Had they done that, I'm almost certain that our condition today would be different. But there were a certain number in our political system that wanted to maintain that. They became addicted, I should say, to that free labor that they were getting from us for those 100 or 200 years or more. And so consequently, they did not carry through on that promise of giving their free slave that 40 acres and a mule that was promised. So are we functioning as a free people? Are we functioning as a free people? We know that in order to be free, I read brother made a statement that whoever controls your necessities controls you. And that is what food, clothing, and shelter. Those are things that are basically every community has in common. Those are the basis to freedom, to be able to control your necessities. So are we doing that as a people? I'll give you that question. Are we functioning as a free people? Are we providing ourselves with our food, clothing, and shelter? Are we functioning as a community, you even might say? In a community, in order for a community to function, it must have these things that we're discussing here. All these people that have said something on this panel is discussing the needs of a community. And we're on our way. We're on our way. We came a long ways. We still have a long ways to go, but we've come a long way. And as Martin Luther King said, I might not get there with you, but we'll get to the promised land. So I'm elated to hear the things that I've heard. I'm inspired by what I've heard, and it's given me a little clearer vision and more hope. But my greatest hope in closing, and my greatest disappointment, is that our millionaires are not sitting with our businessmen. And we have a whole lot of millionaires in the last 20 years, and we have a whole lot of qualified businessmen in the last 20, 40 years. And when these people sit down and to begin to discuss what we need, I think that day will bring us closer to the promised land. But today I'm hopeful, and again in closing, my hope is in our children. They are going to inherit, and when they inherit it, their interest is going to be clearer as opposed to what we need and how to achieve those things that will make us function as a free people. So again, you children, pay close attention, qualify yourselves, don't take yourselves lightly for granted. The sky's the limit, you have no limitations, you're free to be free and to establish freedom for yourselves and your siblings, the ones that come after you. God bless us, and may we continue to keep the struggle alive.
I'm free. longer bound, no more chains holding me. My soul is resting, it's just a blessing. Praise the Lord, hallelujah, I'm free. I just wanted to open with that, basically, because throughout every text, throughout every theology, you will always find a mention that as a man thinketh, so is he. So liberation and freedom first starts within your mind. We've been released from the shackles, but we still suffer from systematic oppression. Those are the challenges that we have in front of us. But it's our responses to those systematic oppressions that will ultimately spring us forth into ultimate freedom, in my opinion. Culturally, there's nothing that exists educationally, artistically, that we haven't provided the whole diaspora with the foundation of everything. There's music, there's mathematics, there's scientific, there's health, wellness, finances. We are the contributors and the founding fathers for everything. Somewhere along the course, we have forgotten that. Even if we get on the subject of education, one of the things that we spoke on numerous occasions, one of the things that are missing within our educational system is actually cultural hooks. See, we sending our kids to school and they learning about all of these people that created a way and a path for them, but very little of them look like them that they learn about unless it's Black History Month. Whenever you put a child in that particular environment to wherever they're hearing names, and the names they're hearing about that had all of these great feats, but the name don't sound like their name. The face don't look like their face. They're immediately uninterested. But we force feed them to them. That's fine. But we force feed this to them, but we're not force feeding them their placement, right placement within history as a people. Speaking again on education, I'm coming from a cultural perspective. Education, if we look at what's a curriculum, we have a curriculum in academia that could lead to degrees, but a curriculum can also involve speaking to our elders in our community. People who've already endured the testing times and know what that the ways and the paths that we're taking. They know where these roads lead to. People who've already experienced the heartbreaks and the downfalls and the popularity contests that are existing now and have before within our political processes that we are still struggling and trying to fight back towards. We are, as Alex mentioned, we are putting a lot of people in place that look like us. But like I said, as a mind thinking, so is he. A lot of times what we have going on, we are putting black faces with European minds over black people in black communities.
Praise.
So we're suffering. We're suffering culture. Speaking on arts, music, we're rhythmic people. Our music, our rhythm, it used to be filled with so much love and inspiration and hope. But now, what we're putting out, rhythmically. See, the reason why I open with a song, which I never normally do, but the reason why I open with a song is because being a rhythmic people, rhythm has a tendency to stick with you. So whenever we're now putting out music that's promoting violence against each other, that's promoting leaving homes, leaving women as though this is a notch or this is something that you should aspire to achieve in life. Leave a home empty, fatherless. Whenever we're promoting politically people or systems that only want to give to you, but it appears to be given, it appears to be love, but what it's really doing is increasing the wealth gap in America. They want to increase with EBT, Section 8. Yeah, we are in need, but at the same time, steady shoving it down your throat ain't help. What it's doing is limiting our aspirations as a people, because what we experience is a generational curse of people that's conditioning their kids simply out of survival in the system, without wanting to do anything greater than that. We look at the big film and music, we're going back to music industry, all of this ties into entertainment. We're looking at entertainers as role models. A lot of athletes come from broken homes, you know, that wasn't two-family homes or didn't have structure, so they're put in a position to gain monetary assets, but they aren't necessarily equipped to be able to guide our children anyway. You know, and as kids, they're looking up to these people solely because within our communities we haven't established people that's credible, that they can look at and say, I would like to be like that gentleman or that lady right there. We're suffering within our communities. Daily, we can see it, daily. Just as you mentioned, I own the store at the corner. Every single day, there's individuals that come in there that want to know, that want to do, that need somebody to listen to. They want to listen to somebody, but they'll only listen to you if they can find within you what they consider someone worthy to listen to. You know, so culturally, politically, socially, educationally speaking, we have to come back to the beginning. If they're gonna start building industries, and I have we didn't mention it before, but I do have a degree in electronic engineering. So I program PLCs, which is the brain of the operation within every industry. This is what we call automation. So while they're gonna be building factories here and there, it's gonna be less bodies in these places, in these establishments. So small towns like this, everybody's family had land at some point in time. Everybody. We might have lost it through taxes, through deeding, all because at the time whenever we acquired the land, more than likely through sharecropping, whenever we acquired the land, you entrusted a people with land that just now was given the opportunity to learn how to read speak and read the language that we was formally forbidden to do. And you putting documents in front of our face saying, leave it to somebody. This is how much you pay over here. You know, so we should also be aspiring to get back to agriculture. We have to do everything at the grassroots level in order to truly progress. If we're gonna have clothing lines, which is increasing in the culture, why not raise cotton? Why not have our own factories that we create, that we from the grassroots formation level, that we create every single thing within that food chain. You know, and we've been so conditioned with accepting every single thing that the conquerors put in place for us, and we look at that as though that's the status quo. We haven't accomplished nothing unless we accomplish what they set forth as a standard for black people. We didn't set these standards ourselves. For black people, these are our aspirations. I was talking to some brothers down the street earlier, right before we started here, and they was asking questions about, well, this is established this way. They say we can't do this. They say that this is an issue over here, so I'm not going to be able to fit in with this. Our problem is we haven't humbled ourselves. Again, as children, because as children, we had imagination. We could put two chairs beside each other, and in our mind, we riding down the street in the car. Where we going, brother? We riding down the street in a car. We was making mud pies. We was taking sticks and had shotguns and rifles and weapons. What I'm saying is, as a child, we was creative. As adults, we have the financial means to make our dreams become a reality. But after integration, we prefer the status of buying, purchasing from the people that just had us in bondage. So the wealth gap is steady increasing. So I love it to you today that we use our imagination. We combine our economics. Just as the brother said, it don't have to be everybody. All you need is like-minded people. We got to start somewhere, and we got to start today. Thank you.
All right, so now we're in Q&A. Anybody has a question of our panelists? On education, culture, government, or business? Anyone has a question? Where? Okay. Anything back here?
Peace. Listen to the panel. I have a question. We've been talking about education, and one of the strong points that I like to address is financial education. Why do we not teach financial education to our children? Question number two behind financial education is that we teach our children that we go to work for money. And that's not true. Because the dollar is not money. So financial education has to be headed by all leadership today to reinstore the correct values back to our communities. This is my point. Thomas Sowell, I don't know whether y'all heard of him or not, but I've been lately trying to find some of his books. Every bookstore I go to is sold out of Thomas Sowell. One of the issues he addressed, 1964, before 1964, black Americans had two-family households. It was not single family like we got now. We in this new language now. You know, I'm gonna bring this so close, but the single family came in because of the creation of the welfare state. And the welfare state promised us the subsidized housing. Some of them that they're blowing up in New York now, tearing them down, having us living on top of each other, thinking like we was a Jefferson, we done made it. So this is all financial education. And till we restore that correct financial education back into the African American community, we're gonna still have a problem. Oh, we can't pay the rent. Light bill is due. If you're free, no, I gotta get up and go to work. Why? Because I owe. We are a debt-based society. So, okay, thank you. I don't want to go over. She want to put the brakes on me anyway. But I just wanted to dash that and reiterate that financial education in this day and time is the most important thing that we need on the agenda. And what other thing, brother, you that technology, our folks need to be learning AI. The young folks got this creative mind, need to be in AI.
Can you answer that question, someone about financial education? Okay.
Excellent question. One religious scholar said this. He said, wherever you see these books go, a community rise. And he was talking about the Holy Quran. He was talking about the Bible, and he was talking about the Torah. When you look closely at the Jews, right, and you see where Prophet Moses hit the stone, and then once he hit the stone, 12 springs came out. So what does that represent? That represents the 12 financial reserves. That's how they built it. So if we're not teaching our children from that part of the religious aspect, then understanding the finance is just going to be null and void. So we have to go in and we have to incorporate the curriculum with the religion as well, from all three books, because all three books have something to offer. Now, when you talk about the innovative ideas, we have a student here that attended Harvard and MIT for the summer. And so when he attended MIT, he was asked, what was the makeup of the class? How many African Americans? How many Caucasians? How many Middle Easterns? How many people from India? He said it was only 4 African Americans, 3 Caucasians, and the rest was from India and the Middle East. The technology is moving so fast that you're still talking about AI, and he brought back to us that they're talking about ultra intelligence, and this was 3 years ago. By the time you hear things that are coming out of up north, when they get down here, it's history. They're moving that fast. So, when we sit down here, and I'm going to give you an expression from another religious scholar, he said, let me say this first, because the gentleman said about the family household. And he said, now we came from a 2-family household, now we're going to a 1-family household. That's because the brothers aren't talking to the young African American males. And we're not telling them little boys play catch a girl, freak a girl, young men about responsibility. There's a ring here. We don't play. If you're going to sit down and you're going to have sex with a young lady, you're not married to him, sex is for reproduction only. There's no woman in here that's going to try to have sex with you, every day, 365 days a week. You have to get out there and work. So, when you hear that from a male sharpens another male. To the women in here, you can't raise a man. We have to do our job, and you have to stand aside and let us do our job. Because we don't raise little boys. Not in my family, I don't raise little boys. So now, let me, I lost the train of thought. We go back to one of the questions he asked, or one of the statements he was making about the, help me. Can you please help me about, refresh? No, we already asked about AI, and we addressed the males.
Financial literacy.
Financial literacy. Okay, all right, yes. And one more point I want to explain to you. There was a religious scholar that said this. He said, look at the word son, and I'm talking to all the males and the young males in here. He said, look at the word son. He said, S-O-N and S-U-N. And the brother alluded to it as well when he said about the creativity of when we are small. He said, when you look at the word son, S-O-N and S-U-N, you can compare them to. He said, but the sun, right, the S-U-N is bright, it's shiny, it gives off energy, it gives you what you need to grow. The S-O-N can take that and think as far as the universe can go. That's the language that they need to hear. If they're not hearing that language, then they're not going to attack that AI. They're not going to attack that financial responsibility, and they're not going to grow in their manhood. Did I answer the question?
Not exactly, but
Not what you wanted to hear. I understand, Rodney, you wanted to go deeper, Rodney, but we got a little bit of time.
That's right.
Like she cracking the whip.
is financial education addressing the dollar. What
Yes.
is the dollar?
Yes.
That debt instrument needs to be cleared up.
Well, see, right? When you understand, when we go back into that financial education, right, and we take it from that spiritual aspect, and then after that we incorporate it into real life, right? That right there is just a system that they had to create. And so it is said in one religious scripture that every nation will have their day, and God doesn't go backwards. So in the past, right, we just had a couple of coins. We had the gold monetary, when everything was backed by gold. And now, right, we just printing dollars, which they really worth nothing, like you said. They're just printing. So what's next? What's next? So now, right, they are trying to control Bitcoin, but when you sit down there, you have someone that graduated from MIT and has a small team, raise billions of dollars, and have part of his team go back and change the code to steal people money. That right there has to be controlled. So now, right, what we need to do also, and talk about the financial literacy, we need to find out where we going from here with that, with the finance, because the dollar is, we're looking for America. One scholar said, study the fall of Africa. So anticipate the fall, right, of America. America is only 245 years old. So we got another 200 years before we start to see a real decline. When you start to see a real decline, but everybody in here is, some of us is going to be dead, others is still going to be growing, but but it's going to be good times. So when we look at that financial literacy, right, we also have to incorporate what's next from the system that we already created. What's next? And so I'm hoping that that answers your question. If anybody else want to take it.
I think that God says that for every people there is a time and there's a leadership for every people. I think that in our time, in my time, God has sent us a Moses. And what you get into to be brief, I think that for us now as a people, to think collectively. A person came here and said, I'm from God, and I came to call young people to a collective idea. And I think that that's what we need to start. We need to go back to basics. All of this computer stuff, fine. That's going to take us to somewhere, and everybody in the world to somewhere. But for us, land, everything you need comes out of it. Mother and father in the household teaching bringing our children back to morals. turning off that TV and get ourselves focused as a common denominator, mama and daddy and children on some land, teaching us how to produce, make that land productive for ourselves. I think that that's a good starting point for us, you know.
I'd like to speak to the brother Dawood.
Yes, sir. Brother, before you answer that question, let me
Go ahead.
no, just let me do it. What do the Bible and Al-Quran say about money?
You
Well,
passed
it's in the love of money is the root of all evil. You know, but it's not a money thing. I don't see money is not an issue. Knowing how to live our lives, and that's not necessarily money. You know, land, as I'm saying to us, that if we get land and learn how to develop community on that land, then that land will take care of us. That's all you need to live. You don't need food, clothing, and shelter. You don't need the money. You need food, clothing, and shelter. So then money will come automatically. Everything else will come automatically. But you must have a starting point. That's why in the beginning I said that this government gave to millions of acres of land to these people to establish themselves with. That's what we need to establish ourselves. And I think that that's a good starting point for us.
Dawood,
Yes, sir.
Dawood, I totally know where you're coming from. So we in Holler, I've always given Holler that plug. We want to give you the opportunity. We have a program here with young men called the Rites of Passage. And every genre of life we try to instill in those young men. And financial literacy is one of the things, the subjects that they need to be taught. So I implore you to bring that message of financial literacy here to those young men. So anytime that you feel like that you can have an impact on these men, these young men that we're trying to develop in the men, please, we invite you to come into this building. And again, another shameless plug for Holler. We do everything that you all have mentioned on a daily basis. On a daily basis, providing resources, interested in agriculture. My partner here, Michael Covington, we are stressing agriculture. We're stressing feeding ourselves. We're stressing building. We do not want to fall into the trap of waiting for the government, again, we're on that government, to build our young people recreational facilities. We have every means that we available to us. We have money, we have carpenters, we have electricians, we have plumbers, right there at our disposal. But you say, are we thinking as a free people? No. We're functioning as a free people. We're maybe thinking as a free people, but we're not functioning as a free people because collective work and responsibility is what we're lacking. And that's what we got to get to. We got to build our own. We got to lay some cement. They want to play basketball and have fresh air. What is it to get a half acre of land or a yard and lay some cement? What's that? What does that say to us? Especially the brothers got to work it out. The brothers, not the sisters. The brothers got to work it out. So come here to this Holler Center and we'll get in this room and we'll hack it out. It's here for you. Thank you very much.
Do we have another question? Oh, there's a question in the back. All right. Oh, okay, the sister has a question. You got a question?
Yes, okay, I want to make sure I had it. I was just wondering if someone could speak to the importance of cooperative economics and turning our dollar more than once it leaves our community, because it seems to be that we're the only ones that do that. Their dollar turns 10, 15 times before it leaves their community. I know it's harder to do once we don't have that entrepreneur, there's not, a lot of black-owned businesses, but once we start to support each other, that will grow. Cooperative economics, and it starts, it kind of tags on to what he was saying about the agricultural aspects and getting back to the roots, farming, growing your own food. every dollar goes to a small business that started here in this community to support each other.
Would you ask this question?
No, but anybody can speak to them, and I have the mic or anybody.
She wants you to answer the question about cooperative economics and keeping the money in our community as much as we can.
Yes, so basically, I love to deal with words. So even the phrase cooperative, got two words, cooperative. So basically, just as you mentioned, and what the gentleman over here spoke on too, it sounds to me as though we need to get away from money and start establishing wealth. How do we establish wealth? See, once we, just as you asked, we have to start creating for ourselves instead of just settling for working for other people. You know, now it's fine. Brother Alex used to speak to me about guerrilla warfare. When you go into an environment with a clear mindset of what it is that you're there for. You're there to gather intel, information, and take it back to your people. Right? So it's okay with working for other people as long as you understand that you are gathering the skill set and the trade to come back and implement for your people. If we begin to open businesses in a corporation, you have a lot of events that go on and a lot of things that transpire that, just say if you have business there, a lot of people don't like if somebody's selling hot dogs, they have another person there that sell hot dogs. Or if somebody's selling soap or books, they want to single book these people. But talking about corporation, if you go to Walmart and you look on the toothpaste aisle, every European that make toothpaste, they all their products right there beside each other. Everybody that make milk, everybody that make eggs, all of these products are wrapped beside each other. Our products are our commerce between businesses. You know, I operate using other businesses within every business that I try to create. I try to bring in other people where we exchange goods. And these goods, we exchange them in a manner to where we using the goods in order to purchase their goods, and each one of the parties are in a position to where they profit off of each other's goods. It doesn't matter that his goods selling better than my goods because it's profitable for me. We want to do black or African American business to say let's buy black, but it's hard for us to buy black if I got to go on the internet to their website, I got to pay shipping, I got to do all of this from them, then I need to go over here to them to make sure I support them, I need to pay shipping for this person. So the cost is steady increasing because we haven't created cooperations. We need cooperations, meaning that we need every black business with goods and with products to carry every black business's products and goods within one facility. Now we can buy black. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. You know what I mean? And we need to house these products together so that we can offer these to these communities. And with the proceeds from these sales, it being a corporation, that's when we come together to start establishing outlets for the children and the youth in our community, as well as the elderly. We can do that collectively. You know, it's good to look at government entities in order to accomplish some things, but we have the finances amongst ourselves. We have the know-how, the means amongst ourselves to establish, to create, and supersede anything that when I say weak and wild. Weak and wild. We wild because we in the age of information. Everything is laid out in front of us, but we're lazy. Somewhere along the line, the skill sets that we need, the essential skill sets that we need in order to do, as this brother said, create from the land, he got lost. It got lost. We don't have that no more. Just say Brother Alex spoke about carpentry, masonry, plumbing. All of these things are within the parameters of education. So they need to be pushed just as much as getting a degree. Because in these little small towns, what you will find out is everybody's not going to go to college. They got an early college program to prepare you for college, but they don't have an early trade program that we can distinguish. This child ain't going to go to college. Let's pull him out in the 9th grade before the games get him. Let's go ahead and equip him with the skill set of carpentry, masonry, plumbing, all of this, so that at the very least, once they don't travel the roads of life, at least they got a skill set into which they can establish a business and operate today, operate tomorrow, operate 10 years from now. If need be, if they got lost along the way, we need to prepare our kids for more than just college. We have to also prepare them for trades. Skill sets is what we need. We got plenty of education. We can Google something without even having a degree to get an answer, but do we have skill sets? That's what we're missing. And I hope I answered your question, but I'm pretty sure you got some other people that can get on it.
One of the things that I heard you said earlier is that we don't want to go research. We don't want to go buy this company. We don't want to pay for the shipping. We don't want to pay. It's just too much. We do have companies that have gotten together, black companies, and I hate using the word black because we're not black. We need to stop using it. We have companies that are owned by African American people of color that are flourishing, and they're in groups. You have We Buy Black. That's a network that you can go to and find all African people of color products, and in one communities where you can network. But one of the challenges with our entrepreneurship, our business owners that I hear when I ask them why are we struggling, because sometimes I have an issue too, because I'm like, why are you charging me double the price when I can go over here and get it for half that price? Unfortunately, a lot of our companies don't have that network where they can, have this lump sum of supplies and reduce their prices. Also, the challenges with our African American owned companies is that we're not supporting them because we get impatient with our own people. The services sometimes are terrible. We service each other and we don't give the top service. So therefore, the masses of us will leave. And I will say that to my own people. I said, look, your service is terrible. You cannot expect us to come in if you're not giving top-notch service. So the masses will take our business elsewhere. But we want people who are going to be supportive and value us, each other. And we tend not to do that. So that's why our dollars go someplace else. It goes some places because we're not treating each other with value. And we don't have that turnaround, that product to turn around to give you that deal that somebody else is going to deal. So those manufacturings are not there. But if our kids are not educated enough with the history to let you know that there were tons of universities in Africa. The wealthiest men came out of Africa. Okay, thank you. All right, so that history will tell you who you are so that you can pick up the skills and the mindset. It just didn't just stop here after slavery. Yes, they took us out of the wealth. They took us out of the education. But it didn't stop just because they have even, someone mentioned about their, the benefits, the welfare benefits, and removing the fathers from the homes. Yes, that has done a destruction to our families. But again, it doesn't stop with the generation. You have to get it in yourself to want to stop it. If we don't make it take the ownership and say, I don't want to repeat the cycle of my mom or my grandmom. My mother had a third grade education. A third grade education. She did not graduate from high school. She worked in the fields, cutting sugar canes, worked for the master. She did. But what she did, she made sure all 14 children get an education. That's what she worked towards, because she did not want us to repeat the cycle. I'm here because I did not want to repeat the cycle. I'm the first in my family to get a college degree. The first to be in the religion of Al-Islam. The first, because I was determined the cycle has to stop. So I want better, and that better is to learn your history. Know where you came from, know where your ancestors came from. Go to the library, read to your children. It starts with you stopping the cycle. And that's the only way we're going to generate our wealth.
Low battery. Oh, okay.
Look at where America started. Look at where it came from, and look at where it's going. Look at where we came from. And now where are we going? Because now we're being reduced here in the United States. You know, it was interesting when a scholar did predict this. I don't remember his name, but he did predict that we were going to be reduced. And we all just sat there, all the educated, everybody. But unfortunately, his delivery probably did not come out strong enough for those of us who are educated enough to see and educate each other about where we're going here in the United States. But you have to learn your history, and you want to be able to change. And you can't sit there and just wait for somebody to change it. You have to do it yourself.
We have a gentleman here who has a question.
Okay, my question is for Mr. Gaddy. You stated in reference to with politicians, so my state, I'm gonna make a statement and I ask my question. I noticed that Anson County, there are a lot of us African Americans that are in leadership. And my question to you is, how do we hold them accountable? Because with the county being as black as it is, the things that's going on shouldn't be going on.
Your question is, how do you hold them accountable? I think I answered that. I'm going to answer it again. We have to vet them before we elect them. And unfortunately, we have to give them an opportunity to represent. So, in order for us to hold them accountable, is to, prior to them being elected, they have to be in a forum just like this. And we have to have compiled issues that we want to address and we want them to fight for. If they don't line up with those issues, with a forum like this, then we don't elect them. And if they lie to us and say, okay, we've got to fight for these issues, and they get in position and don't, then we don't re-elect them.
Okay, great answer. And my second question is, as many of you know, I do work in funeral service. I am an administrator at Northern Mortuary Service, and Tony Arthur is actually CEO. My question is, when we say we support black businesses, but what I noticed also in Anson County is a large number of us African Americans goes over to our counterparts, and oftentimes they don't give us a chance to serve them. And my question is why? And also what I noticed, because I watch online, I look at the product, and most of the time, the product that they're selling you, you think you're getting a deal, you're not. They sold you the bottom line, bottom shelf or something, and sold it top dollar. So you've been ripped off. So my thing is, why?
Well, I want to reiterate, we have been conditioned, and I contribute a lot of our ills to slavery and mental slavery, because we were taught for hundreds of years that your product isn't as good, or you as a person aren't as good. And unfortunately, it's been rolling over for hundreds and hundreds of years. And we're at a place now that I'm not a sociologist, I'm not a psychologist, it's clinical. It's an epidemic, in my opinion, that we don't know how, and illiteracy is a big part of it, poverty is a big part of it. All of those things are drivers. And like I said, it's mental slavery, my friend. That's the only thing, that's my only answer. That's my only answer. And I would ask you to try to concentrate on those that do support you and highlight those that do support you.
What we do, like this forum that we have here today, like last year we had workshops. We did 2 at the funeral home. Then we went around to different locations to do this type of education for funeral service. But guess what?
It would happen for you.
We did not come.
It would happen for you. Listen, keep doing it. Keep doing it. It will happen for you. Nothing happens overnight. Hard work, perseverance, you keep doing that, sir, and your business will prosper.
To kind of piggyback off what Brother Gary said, to your question, sir, we recently formed a committee here in Anson County, Anson Men of Action. It is to target some of this political stuff that's going on undercover, and some of the black candidates that are running. We told them, we're gonna hold your foot to the fire. Just because you're black, that don't mean you're gonna stay in office. You got to you got to represent all people. And if you cannot take our concerns to the table, we're gonna get you out and get somebody in there that's gonna represent our interests as a community. So we are working on that. And then this thing is full circle because what Brother Gaddy said as it relates to the trades. We do need trades. And the other brother stated about the manufacturing that's coming down south. If the manufacturers do come down south, AI is gonna take maybe 70% of the jobs, and another 20% they're not gonna give it to us. So we got to have the trades to provide for our families and create generational wealth. And I approached the brother there a couple of months ago in regards to starting a trade school down here in Anson County to teach the young men trade, teach the young men how to take care of their families. So that's what we're currently working on here in this county, because the school's not teaching trades anymore. So somebody got to do it, and that's what we're intending on doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just first I want to say I'm very blessed to be here with you all this evening. And I want to applaud the work that's going on here at the center. And I just want to say this. I grew up in Montgomery County, which is right over the river. And I'm listening to what you're saying. And my question is, and I kind of think I might know the answer, but my question is, the academic performance of our youth, because that's our future. These children, I'm glad to see parents here with the children, they're our future. So when we think about the academic performance of our children, those who talked about education, it's so very important. If COVID did a really bad job on our children's performance, but how can we increase the performance of our children? I'm talking about with the basic skills, reading, math, language. Because as long as they are not performing at a level, as they say, grade level, I don't know what the major industries are here. It's like Montgomery County, there are 2 major industries. You've got McCray Industries and you got Jordan Lumber Company. Then of course you got your public
government, and you got the prison system and so if that is basically the same that we have in Anson County, the major industries, they won't come, but those that are, whoever comes or whether they don't come, it's the academic performance of our children. And I think often that it's not just the school's issue and the parents' issue, it's a community issue. It's a community issue. So as long as our children are performing below grade level, they can always say, well, you are not functioning at a level where I need to pay you more. That is, if you get a job there. So you will have low wages, which means people can't actually grow and progress as families, and it's a vicious cycle. So we have to really put a lot of attention on improving the skills of the children. Like they said, turn off the TV, take the phone. I mean, when I say turn it off, there are academic, educational things on television, but monitor what your children see. Turn the TV off at a certain time. It used to go off at midnight when I was growing up, so wasn't nothing to see. But it's so important because we're talking about our future. We don't want them to come up and still deal with these same issues 20 years from now. They are adults and they'll be raising children. So we don't want them to have to go through these same things. So I don't want to. So academic performance, I think in Montgomery County, I heard something similar something like 20% of the children, African American children, are functioning, only 20% functioning on grade level. 20. That means 80% are not. So that means you're going to always have a class of people who cannot earn a decent living. So that's very important. The other thing is land. Don't sell your land. Pay your taxes. Get somebody to help you pay your taxes. Do fish fries, bake sales, whatever. Pay your taxes. If somebody wants to get some land from you, lease it to them. You don't have to sell it. Lease it. But keep that land because you don't know who generations from now will make a big use of that land. So please keep your land. If somebody, even when you pass it on to your children, have it fixed some kind of way so they can't just sell it. Okay? In your will, in your trust, something. That is so important. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I will be real short.
Okay. And we can see the young man here.
Yes, one thing I would like to say, because I substitute for the school system in Anson County, and one thing I see and I know that it's a problem, we need to get them cell phones out of the school. Because they are distracting our kids, they are focused on their phone. If your mama drop you off, your mama's not going to forget about you. And parents are doing their proper job in learning, letting their kids got boundaries and teaching them respect, and they can grow from there. That would make the classrooms more calm. You can't wrestle with 5 kids and you got 2 more fighting over cell phones. At some point, we need to take something out from these kids. And I'm not saying take it from them to be mean or disrespectful, but they're still kids. What do they need with a cell phone in the classroom? When the classroom has its own phone and there's an intercom system.
Hey, can I say something? Since we're on the subject, a lot of game shows, different things they got called free. We actually have a principal here that may want to address the subject too.
Dr. Pratt, may want to, your input on that, or education, and education in general, however you want to address this audience concerning education.
Well, one thing I want to say, when you're talking about our kids not being on grade level, whose grade level are you talking about? Who gave us that grade level? So when you say grade level, are you talking about can the kids read, basically? Can they do math, basically? Because the legislator is giving you this number to tell you that your kids are not reading and writing and being able to do math. legislator is for what? Money. They are putting us back in our place. If you look at higher education, who has the most highest education? Black women. They don't tell you that. We are moving up, so they gotta figure out some kind of way to put us back in our place. So to put us back in our place, they give us a number, and then they tell you that your kids cannot read, that your kids cannot do math, so that your kids don't go to that higher education. How many of you in here can pass the 3rd grade math EOG? Have you looked at it? How many of you can pass the reading 3rd grade EOG? To the numbers of the legislators. Look at it and see. It is set up so that everybody is not successful. Because in this world, everybody is not supposed to be successful. They want you to stay in your place. So be careful what you read and what you believe, because everything you read and you believe is not true. So while you're in here, don't stop here. My uncle says everybody can't be dressed up. Somebody got to do the work. So everybody in here, once you get through talking, you need to do some work. And it's more about reading and writing when we have children living in campers in Warben with no water and no heat tonight. So let's deal with those things, the whole child. And that reading and math will come, because we're going to take care of that in the classroom.
One thing I want to say, just to close this out for myself. I was listening years ago, and this professor, this principal came to address us. And he addressed education. What is education? What does it mean to be educated? He said, and it was simple and true, that education is the ability to ascertain data relevant to a particular subject and give it back in your own way. Simple. So we are basically educated, because a lot of us, most of the time, we have that ability. So now, what are we going to do with it? Good job. Good job.
All right. Okay. All right. So we give our panel an applause, please.